Joining me now is Jonathan Broder. He's a senior writer for Newsweek magazine covering national security. Jonathan, first such visit by the Chinese premier in 14 years. Pretty clear message from Li Keqiang talking about countering unilateralism and protectionism, talking about the solution to all of our challenges, multilateralism, free trade, economic globalization. These were the kind of messages you used to hear from the U.S. has kind of flipped, turned the page in a sense. Give me your take on this visit.
You know, there's an old expression in baseball, hit the ball where they ain't. And right now, multilateralism and free trade is exactly where the United States isn't. We used to be the leader in that. Under Trump, we're no longer the leader. And I think that China is taking advantage of it. China has a very powerful economy, and it's taken the lead now in calling for globalism, multilateralism, free trade, opening up markets. These are all the things that the United States and China are now fighting about. And you see in Holland and later in Belgium, the Chinese premier touting these values in contrast to what the United States isn't doing.
And Trump, just the other day, calling the trade war trade skirmish now, kind of ratcheting down the dialogue in a sense. But is there a vacuum here? I mean, you said hit them where they ain't. You know, it's interesting. You even see now Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe making a trip to China where there was frosty relations there for a time. Is this really going to end up backfiring on the U.S. administration, do you think?
I think it's already backfiring. I'll give you an example. The top China analyst at the CIA a few years ago was a guy named Christopher Johnson. He's now with the Center for Strategic and CSIS, the Center for Strategic and International Studies.
They've all got acronyms.
Right. and he is now calling the Trump's decision to pull out of the Trans-Pacific Partnership possibly the worst strategic mistake that the United States has ever made.
That's
ever made. Yeah. I mean, and when you think of some of the strategic mistakes that have been made, for example, the invasion of Iraq, that's getting up there. I think, to answer your question, it's already happening.
The Netherlands and the Belt and Road Initiative, do you see any synergies there?
I do. I mean, the Europe is basically the end of at least the Eurasian landmass for the Belt and Road Initiative. I mean, it goes through Central Asia, Middle East, and then up to Europe through the Suez Canal and even through the Port of Piraeus, which the Chinese have a big hand in now. The ports of Rotterdam and Zeebrugge in Belgium, those are other ports that the Chinese can come into. So these are big opportunities for the Belt Road Initiative for China.
And of course, they're having the big import expo in Shanghai. That's coming up just a few weeks from now in November. Again, attracting more and more, opening up. Where do you see these two countries in maybe a year from now, after all of this plays out, the dust has settled?
The United States and China? Yeah. Well, I mean, it really all depends whether the Chinese and the United States work out their trade differences. We know that President Trump and President Xi Jinping are going to be meeting in South America, I think is
G20
in Buenos Aires on October 20th, I believe, is it?
Yeah.
And there's some hope that they will reach an agreement. But I think that given the new U.S. policy toward China, which goes way beyond trade, I mean, people are now talking about a new Cold War. I don't know whether they're going to be reaching an agreement so quickly.
Jonathan, always a pleasure seeing you. Thanks so much for coming in and providing analysis.
Thank you.